I was, my dad, I guess, was talking to him and telling me about my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law was, the power of the Lord was on her, and she was shouting. There was, the church was full, and she was shouting, and they had a big old wood stove in the middle of the floor of the church, and it was, the pipe was almost red, and she went over, and she's still shouting, and she went over and she just played her hand up and down on that pipe, and then she reached, opened the door, and pulled out a live coal and carried it around in her hand. And after the service broke, this man came up to her and he said, I want to see your hand. He said, I know it's fried. She just held out her hand, and it was just like the other one. Not a burn, not a red spot or nothing. And the Lord was just using that to let people know that He had the power to quench the fire. So my dad was telling Cecil's grandpa about it, and it was after church broke at Coffee Ridge, and they were talking, and uh, Daddy said something about being the fire kind, and Cecil's grandpa, they had an old big stove there, and he just went over and opened the stove door, and he got out a coal, and he brought it over and gave it to Daddy. He said, yes, brother. He said, I've got the fire kind. He just laid that over in Daddy's hand, and Daddy just held it. Neither one of them had a burn.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, the Lord, He can do things
Mm-hmm.
that looks impossible
Yeah,
to
that's
men.
true.
He, He's got so much.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a lot of times we underestimate Him, underestimate what He can do and what He will do.
Yeah. Did they say that when the lady, who'd you say put her hand in the stove?
Uh, my sister-in-law.
Your sister-in-law. Okay. Did they say that when she did that, did a man come up to her after church and end up getting saved through that?
He said, I want to see your hand.
Uh-huh.
And he said, I know it's fried.
Mm-hmm.
Because she carried around that coal fire.
Yeah.
He said, I know it's fried. Well, we knew that, man. And, but she just held her hand out and let him see.
Mm-hmm.
And there was there were no blister. There was not even a red place where the fire had burned. It was just like the other hand.
I thought maybe somebody said that when she showed it to him, maybe he fell to his knees or something.
Oh no, that was when the little boy died.
Oh, okay.
And this guy was sitting in the back, and he called us a bunch of fools.
Mm.
And he said, why don't that bunch of fools call the funeral home and get that baby out of here? Said he's as dead as he'll ever be. And Daddy said, folks, let's pray one more time. And he said, if there's anybody in here that don't believe God can do this, can raise this child, he said, I would ask you to step outside the door so the Spirit of the Lord won't be hindered. Well, he didn't go out, but when we prayed the next time and Daddy laid his hand, he anointed him. And the folks all gathered around and prayed. And when that little boy come back to, his little eyes rolled back in his head, and he was, I guess, about the size of Gavin at that time. And his little fingernails turned blue. And he was gone. He didn't have a pulse. And after we prayed that last time, he just started raising up and looking around, and wasn't long till he was back down on the floor. And that little boy is a man today. He's still living. He owns a business in Elizabethton, Tennessee. And when that man that said that, he called us a bunch of fools. And when he saw how the Lord worked, he ran to the altar. He fell on his knees. And the Lord gave him salvation that night.